Anyway, I got permission to go ahead and tell this. But Monday morning, I was out paying some bills, and I happened to have drove by Sonny's house, and I saw his truck at home, so I stopped in to talk to him for a few minutes. And he answers the door, and both his eyes were just black as black could be. I mean, shiners on both eyes. And I said, "Sonny, what happened to you?" And he said, "Well," he said, "Sunday I went to church," and he said, "there was a lady sitting in front of me." He said, "She was a little on the large side, but," he said, "she had a really pretty dress on, so," he said, "I kind of noticed it right off the bat." And he said, "Then she kind of sat right directly in front of me." And he said, when the pastor asked us all to stand to sing, he said, when she stood up, I noticed that her dress was in her crack. He said, so I reached up there and pulled it out, and he said, she turned around and whopped me in the eye and blacked that eye like you wouldn't believe. And I said, well, how did you get two black eyes? He said, I got this one when I tried to stuff it back in there. I hope that doesn't offend anybody, but I just thought it was funny. Anyway, this is going to be, I'm going to do a movie review, and I think I'm only doing 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5. No, 1, 2, 3, 4, about 4, somewhere in there. And this is going to be the last one, because it has just gotten really confusing, because now everybody's jumping in on the bandwagon. It's confusing people who told them about what movie, and I've already lost a really good friend over this. I'm not willing to lose any more, so this is the last one, because I'm just not going to take the chance. And it's like everybody got into it. You know, when that first video come out, it's like pop, 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 pop. And it's confusing people where the movies are coming from, or, you know, so I would just rather cut it off here and save my friendships, because the person that I lost was kind of important to me, but, you know, too late now, and I'm not going to go on about it, so I'm just going to leave it at that. Anyway, I don't have the movies here in front of me, because these movies are, I don't know how to say it. Number one, I want to make this clear. I am not recommending these movies. I am telling you about the movies, and you make your own decision. Because someone asked me about why I stay on the good side, the goody two-shoe side, which I didn't think I was doing, but, you know, and then I got to thinking about it, and I do have to be fair to everybody. But I'm not recommending these movies. I'm going to tell you about them, and you make up your own mind. And I do have to say, absolutely, no one 13 years of age and under should see these movies. If you have a weak stomach, or anything like that, I don't suggest you watch these movies. These movies will make you mad, make you sick. These are all about revenge. And at least 3 of these movies are true stories. And, you know, sometimes true stories are more sickening than fictional. But I'll tell you about the movies. I'm going to leave it up to you to watch them or not. I'm trying to be fair and give an even layout of these movies. But I can't have them here in front of me, because there's a couple of the movies that I didn't really know what they was until I watched them. And don't get me wrong, they were good movies, but they made me so mad and so upset that they made me ill. Alright, the first movie I'm going to bring up, and not all of them are like really gruesome or anything like that. It's just why the movies are revenge and stuff like that, you know. And I have to say, there is, when I get to this one, I'm going to tell you a little bit about why I even like it. All right, the first one we're going to talk about is, you know that I love John Grisham, because most of his books that he writes is about people from my area. And then they take the books and turn them into movies. The first one is, it has Sandra Bullock, Danny Glover, and Matthew McConaughey in it, and it's called A Time to Kill. The movie is about these country boys from the deep, deep South who, and let me tell you the reason I can't watch this movie, and I think it is the most sickening line ever put in a movie. And I wish that they would take it out of the movie, but I realize that they can't do it because it's part of the movie. And I'm going to tell you what the quote is, and you judge for yourself. This guy said, he's talking about black kids. He said, when they learn how to crawl, they're in the right position. And I never got so sick in my life whenever that line in that movie came up. But I have to say that Sandra Bullock is really good in this. And Matthew McConaughey, this man, I think he was at his peak whenever he did this movie, because I never saw him look so good as he did in this movie. And Danny Glover is excellent. And I want to tell you what it's about, but I just can't. It's about ignorant guys in the South, black people, court, stuff like that. That's all I'm going to tell you. Our second movie is called Daddy's Little Girl. Now this movie, you know what the movie's about, but it doesn't show it. It kind of goes around it. But you know what it's about. But anyway, the guy and his wife they live apart, and the little girl spends time with her dad and goes home time with her mom. Well, the little girl ends up getting kidnapped out of her bedroom at her mom's house, and they can't find her. And of course, everybody's going crazy. They find her on the beach, and something has happened to her. I'm not going to tell you what. But I guess the most shocking part is when you find out who did it. Because they do it in such a way that you can't really figure out who did it. But when he finds out who did it, it's what he did that really makes the movie so gruesome. If you have a weak stomach, do not watch this. If you have a lot of empathy, don't watch this. Don't watch it. But if you can get through these kind of movies and you like a good, really strong, lightly horror, deeply thriller, deeply drama movie, you'll like that one. Now our next movie is called Savaged. And this movie came out in two different titles to it. One is called Savaged and the other is called Avenged. So if you can't find it under one name, look for the other. And this is about a girl who is mute, who goes on a road trip on her own across the New Mexico desert. And she comes across these guys out in the desert, and they're chasing down Indian guys from a tribe and running over them and shooting them and stuff because they're trying to get rid of all the Indians out in the desert. Anyway, they end up kidnapping her, and the only reason, it's a good movie, don't get me wrong, good in the sense of graphics and stuff that they did. This movie was absolutely on spot with the Indian spirit in this, the Indian stuff that they did, and it took an excellent mind to come up with what they did with this girl in the movie, and I thought this was absolutely brilliant. But also at the same time, it will pull you, you won't know what to think. I mean, it's very, very, very sad. Pretty much at the end of the movie, you will want to shut it off early and just sit down and cry because it's so sad. But it's really a good movie. All right. My fourth movie. Now, this fourth movie, it's a very cruel, very, very cruel. I don't think anybody 15 years old and under should watch this. But it's called I Spit on Your Grave. Now, they did I Spit on Your Grave, and then there's I Spit on Your Grave Part 2, I Spit on Your Grave Part 3, and then I Spit on Your Grave Deja Vu. The Deja Vu one is pure crap. But anyway, it's about a woman who goes to a little town. The original is a 1978, and then they redone it in 2011. I think it was 2011. And then they just made, you know, the sequel. And which they were pretty good, but of course the first one's always the best. So if you watch this, I would suggest that you watch the 1978 version first. It's about a woman who, I think she's a writer, and she rents a cabin out in the country by the lake. You know, when she's not writing, she spends her time laying in a hammock or floating in a boat. And of course, the local town wacko guys has got to interrupt. But it's really cruel what they do to her. But it's even more cruel what she does to them. But you will be glad that she did it. And it's a very avenging movie. But anyway, there's my deal, so I don't get accused of being goody two-shoes when it comes to the movies. It's just, you know, I can't say I can't do these because I have them and I've watched them, so I can't be like, well, I don't watch those kind of movies, so I wouldn't show them, blah, blah, blah. As you guys know, I love horror movies. The more scarier, the better. But these are just some that's come along my way, and I bought them somewhere in a collection, and they just, I don't know. But anyway, I am not recommending them, but I'm telling you about them. So if you like these kind of movies or would like to watch these kind of movies, to look for them. That's why I'm putting the pictures of the covers up there, because I cannot have them here in front of me. Anyway, I have spent, gosh, I don't know how many days, because I had to get up and down a little step ladder, so it's been really rough for me. Like tonight, I am so sore I can barely move from stepping up and down on a step ladder. But today I finally finished up the painting in the craft room, and I had all the walls painted and everything. It was today I had to go back and go up and, you know, do the trim work along the ceiling and the corners of the walls and around the sockets, stuff like that. So that's all done, and I've got a little fan on in there going on. And you know, even after cleaning that room out and painting it, it still looks really, I didn't realize that room was that small. But I measured it. That room is only 9 by 9. But anyway, I'm going to be doing a video pretty soon. I got to figure out, I have a deep freeze in that room. So I had to move it to the middle to get around to paint everything. And I got to figure out what I'm going to do with that deep freeze. Because at this point, I can't afford enough stuff to even put in it to run it. So I'm thinking about wrapping it in a tarp and putting it out on the front deck and use it just to set plants or something on this summer. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But I got to get it out of that room. So my next project is going to be, I got to get a desk, I got to get shelving, and all of that for in there. And it's going to be a slow process because I can only get this stuff when I can afford it. And plus, you have to remember that I don't own a car or a truck. I have a car. So I have to be really careful about the size of stuff that I buy because I can't haul it. Anyway, guys, thank you for joining me. And thank you for coming by and watching all of my movie reviews and all of that. And it's kind of sad that I'm going to completely end it. Because what I had thought about doing was just cutting it down to once a month. And just doing it once a month since spring and summer's coming on. But I think it's best for me that I just end it. My next video, I've figured out how I'm going to paint the vases. And I think you guys are going to like it. So stay tuned for that video. So guys, I'll see you later and you have a great night.